Hi, everybody. Sorry we're late. We had a little technical glitch, but we're here now.
We were doing late night activities.
We are here. That's Cynthia. I'm Red. Welcome to our first episode of Bedtime Stories. Or I may or may not be reading from a script because, it's the first time and, we here. But we want to welcome everybody that is joining us this evening. We're going to take these first couple of minutes to just let people fall up and fall in and click in and get in. And, we're very happy and grateful for our first guest of our first episode, Little Ray and Mama Byrd. This is very exciting. Cynthia, what do you want to say?
I want to say thank you so much for being here for this tonight for Bedtime Stories. The first time we're doing this, and Red and I are so pleased to be able to have two wonderful, not just storytellers, wonderful people joining us here today. Please do me a favor and hit that little airplane share. Let heads know where you're at, and what you're about to get is some pure, wonderful entertainment. We want to do something a little different for you. So please share and let heads know that they need to be here with us.
And if you don't know, bedtime stories are simply stories from the underground told by the people that live them, because me and Cynthia was sitting around one night and we said, you know what? There's a lot of people that we know that we want to hear a little something from. Tell us something. Teach these young kids something, and also tell us maybe something that was going on in the background, in the back room, at the back door. We just don't know. So, here we are.
So, in case you see somebody, I'm logged in my other ID, which is Shayna Shenanigans.
And if you have any questions for our guests, we'll be posing questions that you guys post. So just post them in the comments section, and maybe a question will be asked of them. And like Cynthia said, tell a friend.
Yes, please tell a friend. Tell a friend. So, this is some real gems, and I'm super excited because all of us have wonderful stories. And this is an opportunity for everybody to get a chance to hear some of the stories from some of the folks that really helped build what is New York City and worldwide nightlife, and really help build some experiences for a lot of people that change people's lives, So this is something a little different, and I love that too. So I'm super excited to be here with these two wonderful people and with my homegirl Red.
And if you grab your drink, if that's what you do at night, have some tea. I'm having tea, and biscuits and whatever it is that you do at right. Some of us drink tequila for bed. And so, I think we can begin now. So our first guest this evening, our inaugural guest is Carolyn Byrd. She's much better known as Mother Byrd. And, Mother Byrd, take it away. First of all, tell us a little bit about who you are.
You gonna unmute me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was dubbed Mother Byrd by Kevin Hedge at the shelter because of the, I guess pretty much the things that I did for the community of the people that would come out and to try and help shape and mold. I like to think of us as culture creators, because we came into this blind like everybody else. But after being in it for so long, I've been in this for 53 years. And I've met a lot of people. I've gone through a lot of people. A lot have passed on. But I'm thankful that I have been able to sustain myself in this thing that we call house. Because at one time when I was little, it used to be rock and roll, or even big bands. And then rock and roll, then I guess I myself was more persuaded by the rock stars of rock music. And I was privileged to go to a predominantly all white school where I was one of 3 blacks in my grammar class. And then until I went to high school, that it was more populated with black people. But by me hanging around white people, they were the ones that turned me on to soul music, reggae music. One of my fondest memories was Ain't Too Proud to Beg by the Temptations, or With a Child's Heart by Stevie Wonder, Going to a Go-Go by Smokey Robinson. And back then we didn't have DJs, we had bands. So we danced and partied to live bands when we went out. And I think it was like 25 cents to get in. And when it went up to $1, everybody was freaking out. But, you know, we would go in like about 10 o'clock and get out about 1 o'clock. It wasn't long, but the whole time that you was in there, you danced. Unless everybody had like moonshine or Little Ray's concoction, and everybody got drunk and threw up outside and came back in. But then I guess further on down the line, it went into disco. And that's when I started hanging out in the clubs in New York. Actually, I ran away from home, and that was my refuge to go to clubs at the time. And that's when they called it club music, until I guess now they termed it as house music. Lord knows what it'll be in the future. But I pride myself in being around people that were involved with the scene and doing all types of things, from decorating to sound to DJing to feeding people and just basically giving everybody love. And from that, when I got grown ass men sitting on my lap crying, but Ma, she don't this and she don't that. And I said, yeah, but what do? You know what I'm saying? And I guess by me being there to nurture them through their situation or what have you. Why are you laughing, Red? Because it was just something that came naturally. I myself come from a family of 9. So, you know, it just came naturally for me, being the second oldest. That's just what I did. And to this day, I haven't been too much on the club scene because I've been pretty much basically just chilling and laying low, because I'm not as young as I used to be. My bones aren't as strong as they used to be. And a lot of people always want to touch me or bump me, and I don't mind. But the thing is, my biggest fear is of falling, and people always want to touch me, which I have a problem with. I always been a germaphobe. It doesn't matter whether I'm here or overseas or whatever. People always want to touch me. I'm like, they want to pull my hair. I mean, and they want to bump. So if you see me, if I don't bump you with the elbow, it's not that I don't love you, but don't put your hands on me, because my bones hurt. You know what I'm saying? And this COVID virus, COVID-19, coronavirus, I don't know what the world is going to be like once we reopen up and get back out. That things are going to be different. That's all I can say. I know on the house scene, dancing close is one of the main connections, even though we don't necessarily have to touch. But 6 feet is a heck of a space to feel the vibe from someone. But I'd rather be 6 feet apart than 6 feet under. You feel me? And
Absolutely. We, we would love to hear one of your wonderful tales of like just a quick one of stories that something that happened to you and is one of your bedtime stories. Please tell us a bedtime story.
in the club,
Give it.
in the club.
Sure.
Just tell us whatever you think we should know.
Oh man, right now I just can't think of it. There's so much. One of the main positions that I had in the club was like when I was working at Zanzibar, I was doing security, but from doing security, Shelton Hayes saw that I had a bit of, besides hospitality, I had a bit of wit in the way I speak and what have you. So he asked me, instead of doing security, why don't you announce the shows? And once I started announcing the shows, I just went up, you know. My career, I was blessed to be in the confines of Tony Humphries, which is giving me the opportunity to travel the world. Italy, London, Canada, Jamaica, Florida, East Orange, Newark, New York, Newark, you know, and doing some of the most fabulous parties that I don't think if I wasn't in this scene, I would have never met the people. I wouldn't have met any of you.
Kiara said you stopped her from fighting someone one night.
Where, in Zanzibar?
I'm guessing it was Zanzibar because, you know, Kiara's Jersey right now, so.
Yeah, I've stopped a lot of people from fighting. Besides, before I even went to Zanzibar, I was working at the Cheetah Club. And I don't know if you saw me before we were trying to get the sound, the stream set up. But this here I'm holding in my hand is a book called Blue. And this guy right here that you see, that's Al Murphy. And he was the guy that worked at the Cheetah Club that would do parties not only at Cheetah, but in New York at the Garage. And he was responsible for getting a lot of the acts and the artists to come. So whenever they would book him in New York, he would bring them over to Jersey. And that's how I got to meet him. And he saw how I worked there at doing security. And then I ended up in Newark at Zanzibar. But this book is, it's like the tale of how house got started in New Jersey. When I was working at the clubs, my job was security at the Cheetah Club. And whenever they was fighting, I would always pick them up and take them outside. And Kiana, I never met any harm. I was just doing what I was getting paid to do.
Well, Byrd, Kenny Black says, you have raised a lot of us and seen us grow up. How does that make you feel?
Oh, it's so overwhelming. First of all, hey, Kenny, how you doing? I miss you, man. And I know you miss my banana pudding. But it makes me feel so good. I get notes from people. Like when I used to be serving food at the shelter and people would slide me notes and I don't know who they are. I don't know them by name, but I know them by smile. And they would put their name, Byrd, thanks for everything. You're doing a great job. Just keep doing this. I look forward to having my coffee every morning and blah, 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 blah. Joe. Who the heck is Joe? You know, and they throw them in the tip jar. And it's just so overwhelming to me that when they see me and I would be coming in with my pots and pans in the morning and they would split like the Red Sea. And I just love all those guys and the girls, and it's just a good feeling, and would fill me with joy just to see them, to be happy to see me. That would make me happy. So it went both ways.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the serving the food at shelter, because that was actually one of my own questions. How did that happen?
Well, a number of clubs, even before shelter, used to have that commodity of some places would sell snacks or whatever. But Kenny Eubanks, that worked at the garage, he was serving, he did the snacks at the garage, so he was doing them at the shelter. But unfortunately, he passed away. And Kevin sent me, Kevin Head set me up. he sent me to Jamaica and put me on a first class plane. He said, go take a break. And then I came back, he was like, Byrd, we need you to do the food in the back. I was like, no problem. You got the right one, baby, because most of my life, my years of living, I've been cooking and catering. My mom picked that up from her father. My grandfather had a successful catering business in Paterson, New Jersey. And like I said, I come from a family of 9, but all 9 of us was working. We ate more shrimp than most kids in the projects, because we would be doing it for the rich white people or the Jews. We'd have to light the stoves or what have you. And it was just secondhand for me. And when he asked me to do it, I was like, no problem. But he did set me up.
I've got one more question for you, Byrd. I was at the club one time and I had a harmonica with me, and I don't know how to play the harmonica. And I was just tooting away. And you said, give me that. You yelled at me. You said, give me that. And you shook it, and you wiped it off, and you just went, why do you know how to play the harmonica?
I don't know, but I remember that situation, and I've always had that song in my head every time I have a harmonica in my hand. And if I had one right now, I could play that same song. Really.
So that's the only song you know how to play on the harmonica? Because you turned out, apparently.
I know, but I could pretty much play something on an instrument by ear, but I can't read sheet music. I don't know. I could play Lean on Me on the piano, or, if I had the guitar, I could play Smoke on the Water. Or on, there's another song, Down at Papa Joe's, on the guitar. But I'm not a musician, but I can sing a little bit.
Oh, we know that.
Well, Mama Byrd, I just want to say thank you so much for all of your contribution to nightlife and culture and cultivating all of us youngsters coming into the club. And I know for me, that was definitely my experience, because I was young in the club and oh, she got oranges over there. And so thank you so much. It's truly an honor to be able to hear some of your tales.
Yes, Byrd. And you and I are friends, and I thank you for the love, for the lessons, for the words of wisdom for all these years, and I'm sure they will continue.
Oh, no doubt.
Thank you for doing this and being a part of this, and this has been great to for us and everyone else to get to know you a little bit more. So thank you.
Thank you.
Love you.
I love you guys too. And I'd just like to say thank you for asking me to do this, for having me read and sent. Yeah, I think what you guys are doing is very innovative, and unfortunately with the situation that we have, thank God you guys give us something to do and to look forward to. And then also I would like to thank my co icon that is here with us for the first time of you guys doing this, Lil Ray. I've had the pleasure of meeting him, oh man, 91 at the shelter, and doing his parties at State Street. And I didn't mind washing dishes. I love washing dishes. It's therapy for me. But from that union, you know, I found out he does parties, and he found out I do parties, and we just been going back and forth with it through all these years. And I just say it's a pleasure to have shared this spotlight with you, and you know, just keep doing what you're doing, and keep the scene alive for whatever it is that we can do to make it happen.
Thanks, Byrd. We love you.
Love you.
Thank you. We
And
love
thank you to the listening audience as well.
Yes, thank you. We got Sean in here, Luce is here, Garvey. There's all lots of usual suspects up in here tonight.
Well,
So-
guys, you know, it's time for Ray, who named himself in this message that we're in Uncle Ray, which I call him sometimes. So I'm going to unmute him, and you know, we're gonna get that going. Oh, you muted. Oh, he muted himself. He's controlling his own destiny. Hi, Ray.
Hello, Red.
Thank you for being here with us, Ray. This is awesome.
Thank you, Red. Thank you, Cynthia,
Thank
for doing this. I mean, and wow, listening to Byrd just a while ago really brought back a lot of memories. Matter of fact, I went, you know, all week from last week when Red reached out to me. She said, Ray, can you, we're thinking about doing this thing. It's called Bedtime Stories. And, you know, my first thing to Red, and it will always be to Red, I said, whatever you want, I'm in, Red, anything for you. But then I said, well, what the hell am I going to talk about? You know? But listen to Byrd, you know, it took me through, wow, a lot of history. It just scratched the surface. I mean, we could sit here probably until about 4 a.m. talking about some good stuff. But thank you guys for presenting this platform, because if we didn't have this platform, we'll be listening to another live mix, I guess.
Yeah, a little something different. We need it.
And it's better to be doing this, and at least we know we don't have to lie that we're actually sitting down or laid down. You know, unlike these live mixes when you get into the room and you say, "Oh man, that's I'm jamming, I'm jumping, I'm doing a split or a dive," but you're just sitting on your couch. You know?
They're dancers, elite.
I'm dancing a jig.
But thank you guys for doing this. Really. No,
So-
I'm not tearing up. It seems I have allergies. But you know, whatever. But yeah.
Well, Ray, if somebody doesn't know who you are you?
Sometimes I don't know who I am, but I have been around this scene from. I'm Ray. I've always been dubbed Little Ray from even before college days. Went to college in Springfield, Mass. Back in, when did I get there? In 81 to 85. Little quick history about Springfield, Mass. Went from Brooklyn to Springfield, Mass, and went to a little college up there called AIC, American International College, or as we say, we call it Alcoholics in College, or almost in college. So AIC was a college of about 1,500 students, but it had one of the best radio stations, college radio stations around, run by these two gentlemen, Steve Love and Jay Jubilee. And they always wanted to mirror it from a professional point of view, or make it really professional and mirror it from WBLS days, okay, from Frankie Crocker and what have you. So we had to be very professional on the air. So when I got up there in 81, no one was playing reggae music on WAIC. I mean, there was this guy from New England playing reggae music. a little lighter color than me, let's put it that way. But he was playing all this, um, just really back then what we would call just really commercial reggae music. Nothing really scratching the surface. There was one other station up there, WST's. It was a technical college, Springfield Technical College, and they had a really good reggae program going on. But they came on like earlier in the night, so I wanted to get on the radio, and so I did the reggae program from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. Tuesday night, and had to get up and go to class. But it's college. I mean, you're coming out of high school, you have class from 8 until 2, 3. College, you probably have a class starting at 10. It was great. So anyway, long story, a little longer. It went from me doing Tuesday to one night, Friday night opened up, and the DJ for Friday night, I think he must have cussed out somebody and left, and you know how it is when you're young. So they said, Ray, we got an open slot here. You want to come on? And so I came on from 9 p.m. to 12, Friday night, prime time, playing reggae music. And the switchboard just lit up. I mean, they've never seen nothing like it. Turns out there was a small community of Jamaicans in Springfield, Mass. Who knew? All right. One of its most famous one of the most famous residents of Springfield, Mass at the time was Denroy Morgan, who actually had maybe the number one club hit because of Larry Levan back then. I'll Do Anything for You, because of Larry and Frankie Crocker. You had so he was in Springfield, Mass, and there's this whole underground world of Jamaicans in Springfield, Mass. I started playing reggae music. 4 years later, my show went from, I was doing Tuesday and Friday nights, prime time, and my show was ranked in the top 1,500 in the U.S. market, not just for college radio, but for the entire U.S. And so that was my claim to fame. Like Red say, who is Little Ray? So it was Ray McHale on WAIC, and my sign off every night was, if you can't be good, be careful. So people love that. I mean, I would go. All of a sudden, then you started having reggae parties popping up in Springfield, Mass. I would walk in the door. Nobody know me. They would look at me. Who are you? I'm like, yo, I'm here. And it was my boy Lucky. Lucky would invite me. And I said, my boy, it's Lucky invite me. Oh yeah, what's your name? What's your name? I said, I'm Ray McHale from WAIC. Oh, wait. And they would jump on the mic. Ray McHale in the house, blah, blah, blah. I never paid for a beer, a drink, a white rum, nothing, but it was good. And I left Springfield in 85. Well, I left WAIC radio in 85 and left Springfield eventually in 86. Because I'm a New York boy. I miss really, I'm a Jamaican boy, but I'm by way of New York, and I'm a Brooklyn boy, and I miss home. So I said, I'm packing up and I'm heading to New York, back home. I should have stayed in Springfield.
No place. I got a question from Be Polite here. And his question is, what was the moment that you knew that you had found your tribe in the clubs, Ray?
Hey, B, good to hear from you, Be Polite. I love Be Polite, by the way. I mean, that is one brother that is a young brother with an old soul. And I really, really appreciate Be Polite. Great question, B. So that's a great, see now, Red, now I know what to talk about. So that's a great question that will now kick off Ray in the club world. And we used to call it underground club back then. And then the music was club music, like Byrd said, or underground music. My tribe, so back in, let's go back days before college, in 79, 80, 79, I got here from Jamaica. As soon as I got here from Jamaica, I hooked up with all my little ragamuffin guys. They took me into their tribe. And in high school, we would sneak out the house and we would go to this club, either Village Hut or ZX, which were all reggae clubs in Brooklyn. So I loved those clubs. It was great and everything. Baby Sham, everybody had Baby Sham in one hand, and a Heineken in another hand, or Baby Sham and Guinness, and it was all about dressing up and going to the reggae club, and we as high schoolers trying to act like we're grown men, you know. I always had the baby face, so that wasn't happening, and you know, it was great just going to those clubs here, and great music, really, really great music. You had Rhodes International was playing at Village Hut, and all them guys was playing. But the one thing I used to say, man, people don't dance in these clubs. They just stand on the wall and nobody dance, and nobody dance with each other, you know, or it was a battle just to get a dance with a girl or something. So anyway, a friend of mine from college days, my good friend Mia McLeod at the time, that was her name. Her name now is Mia Phillips. And Mia, we both went to AIC together at Springfield, Mass. So when we were at AIC in 81, 82, I want to say, because I think Mia got there in 82. Mia said, Ray, we got to go home. You got to go home. I used to rent cars, never paid for them. Don't ask me. That's the start of my bad credit rating. Okay. I mean, back then they used to just give you credit cards. You know, that should be a crime, by the way. Yeah, all right. But they used to give us kids credit cards. We used to take them. We used to rent cars to drive down to New York, from Springfield to New York. It's roughly about a 3-hour trip. Even though I not even 3 hours. I would say it's about a 2.5-hour trip. Just driving regular. I remember driving with a friend of mine who turned out to be my frat brother later on. He took us down in 1 hour and 42 minutes, and to the top of the Bronx. At the top of the Bronx, at that gas station over there, Red, outside of Co-op City.
Mm-hmm.
We stopped him, kicked him out the car, and whoop his ass for driving us that fast. But anyway, we used to come down to New York, and Mia and Leah was the first one who said, Ray, I got this club for you. You got to come. But when you come with us, you know, we're going to go in the club. But once we go in the club, don't hang around me. Don't hang around us. Just enjoy yourself. So I'm like, all right, cool. What the hell, man? What am I, a pariah or something, you know? So got to the club. The club was the Paradise Garage. And I remember exactly what I had on. I had on black, because, you know, they said, don't dress up. But I mean, the Jamaican in me is, you're going out, put on something nice. They said, don't dress up, so let me dress casual. I had on black wingtip shoes. I had on black jeans, because, you know, I didn't want to go too casual, so I didn't want to wear blue jeans. So I wore black jeans. I even pressed them. I had on this polo long sleeve blue and white striped button down. Actually, it wasn't a polo shirt. It was an Oxford button down Oxford shirt, and long sleeve everything. And I get up in the club. They, you know, I meet them outside the club. They look me up and down. They're like, all right, come on, let's go. We go inside, and all I remember was walking through the door into the foyer section. The coat check is to my left, and the changing room is to my right. And they went in the changing room, and they said, come, you got to change. And I'm like, I got on what I got on, you know? So I'm standing in the little changing room with them. And for those who remember the changing room of the garage, it wasn't big. It was just a little room with a couple of little slots. And I'm in there just standing there, and now come this girl topless. She's just getting herself together, and I'm looking around like, what the fuck did I just walk into? You know, like this might be the greatest thing I know, you know. So they come back out and they said, all right, Ray, you have yourself a good time. Don't worry, if you want to leave, just leave, but we'll be in here, we'll be around. So they went in, they ran in. I walked in into the little foyer area. So the garage, when you walk in, to your right, like I say, is the changing room. To the next room on my right of that is what they call the foyer area. And over in the far left is what they call the crystal room. So, you know, you normally enter the foyer area before you enter the big dance area. I stood in that foyer area just watching. And I'm like, holy crap. But the music was just so damn good. And as the night went on, you know, Larry Levan, who was a DJ, he was playing stuff that I'm like, wait a minute, I'm familiar with this kind of stuff. I'm hearing stuff that my father used to play in Jamaica before I migrated here. I'm hearing various different things, and I'm like, I'm hearing stuff that I've never heard before, but I'm loving it. And I never returned back to those reggae clubs since that day. So to be polite, that was when I actually found my tribe, as you could say. You know, it wasn't one of those kumbaya, come on in, we love you. You know, it was more like, yo, if you could take these elbows and while I push you out the way and you still come back the next week and the next week after that, then maybe we'll you know, bring you into the tribe. It definitely was not the kumbaya that goes on now, and that Red actually loves when a new person comes in the scene. Hi, what's your name? Come on in. How you doing?
It's kumbaya, you know? Right now? You think it's kumbaya?
Which I know that's how a lot of you guys got in the scene, probably through Red, because Red is very open and very welcoming and hugging and how you guys doing? Come on in. Back then, oh hell no.
The hostess with
they actually wanted you never to come back. Like, do not come back here and do not tell anyone what you saw here. I mean, don't even. I remember I had a very good friend. His name was my friend's name was Colin Als, A-L-S. And his brother, oh my God, his brother was much older than us. And his brother, we would see him in the neighborhood, but then a late night, or we don't see him. Actually, we would see him coming back like Sunday, like 2:00. And we'll be like, yo, man, where you coming from? He's like, don't worry where I'm coming from, you know? And it turns out years later, I found out he was a garage member. He used to always go on Saturdays, and then he got shipped out you know, he got shipped out to the armed forces or what have you. But he, back then, it was really what we call the underground club. It was our secret. It was what we held true to ourselves. We didn't know nobody's name. All we knew was, and Red and Byrd can back me up on this. We just knew how you dress. So we called by what you had on.
That's how people.
That's
how you got the name.
Oh my God,
right. We put, and the best ones, you know, God rest her soul. But my girl Tasha and Vicky, they were notorious for naming people just by looking at what they got on, and the name would just stick. You know, Basil, we used to call him DA, because Basil used to our guy Basil used to run security at the garage. And why we call him DA? Because he wore this shirt every week that says the Bronx. Okay, it was just DA Bronx, you know? The Bronx. So we called him DA. You know, we never knew his name was Basil. You know, we call what's his name at the dorm, Marlboro Man. Why? Because we saw him on the when we would
the poster
on the poster going to the club, we would see what's his name as a Marlboro man, and then we walk up to the garage and he's working security. Like, holy crap, you know. So yeah, that was when I found my tribe. I was always a garage lover. We drove down from college one November. We left because if for you to get your membership for the garage, you had to get there. They only had membership not on the weekends, but usually in the week. So the membership drive will be held like Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday for Friday night and Wednesday for Saturday night. So, or actually no, Tuesday and Wednesday. If you miss Tuesday, you could get in on the Wednesday. It was $80 for Friday night membership and $110 for what they call core mechanic membership. And I just remember myself and and Mia, we rented a car again, of course, and we jumped in the car right after we finished our classes. So classes will be done like around 2:33. We jumped in the car. We jetted to New York. Why? To go stand on the line to get our Paradise Garage membership, to get it, and then drive back up to Springfield so we could make classes the next day. You know, and we would be on that line. We would park, God knows, I don't even know. Well, no, back then you could park on the streets of Manhattan. And we would park and we would run in. Mia would be putting on her little bit of makeup because you have to take a picture. I'd be putting on whatever I got to put on, like a tie or what have you. I would walk up in the club and, you know, so what membership? And of course you had to go through a mini interview with Mike Brody and you know all those guys and are you a member? Why are you here? I'm like, and of course we just gave our really. Mia didn't have to do anything, but of course me, I had to just give my Brooklyn attitude. Like, what the hell you mean? What am I here for? I'm here for the damn membership. All right, go inside, take a picture, get out of here. You know, I'm telling you, back then it was like, yeah, it was our club. It was our underground scene, but we didn't want you in there. And we didn't want no new members. We didn't want no new people. We didn't want, and for the people who would come in, we didn't even want you, you know, knowing us. I remember when all those cats came in, when Voodoo Ray came in, when and now I'm jumping fast forward past the garage. You know, but Voodoo Ray, I believe, yeah, Voodoo was in the garage for like the last year or something like that. But then Voodoo then went and opened the whole bag and opened the door to everybody and told everybody about our underground world. And next thing you know, they're up in the world. Basil hosted a big dance contest at the Choice. That's really when Voodoo and Ejo and all those guys really, well, actually Voodoo and Marge. Ejo came a little bit later, but that's when all those guys really started to blossom in the scene, was from that dance contest at Basil over a certain, not the one at Kilimanjaro. This was before Kilimanjaro. They did this dance contest at Choice. And, you know, all us older dancers, we got out there. I even was in the dance contest, and I thought I was hot shit and what have you. And I'm not going to lie, man. Voodoo and all them boys came and wiped the floor with us. I mean, wiped the floor with us. We were like, yeah, we were hating. We were definitely hating. We were standing on the side like, who these young bastards think they are, you know? And, you know, years later, they're brothers to us, you know, but it was almost like a jumping into the gang, you know. There was no like, come on in, let's go have dinner and lunch and all that. No, let's see what you got first, you know. But it was great.
I have a question that Luce asked.
Who?
And I'm curious, Louis Key.
Yes.
So I'm curious also to the answer, and his question was, why did you decide to start the Clubhouse Jamboree at Prospect Park?
Wow. Okay, so now we jump in. Wow, we jumping over a lot.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you know,
maybe
Well,
maybe I should
we
write
only
that.
have so much time.
Maybe I should
We'll have
write
you back on. We'll have you back on.
maybe I should write that book. But even before wow. So let quickly to take you up to the history of Clubhouse Jamboree, which is one of the founding members and now the only person running Clubhouse Jamboree. Um, Before that, I used to do parties with House Nation, and from House Nation, that would with Hector Cruz, Larry Levan was part of our tribe, part of our crew. Victor Rosado was part of our crew. Ace House Nation, all these guys, and from House Nation, I started doing parties out of my house in State Street. So State Street, and Byrd had talked about State Street briefly. State Street came about because I went to a party, no lie. I only start parties when I think the scene needs something better. And went to a party in Brooklyn at a loft party and what have you. And I just was not thrilled with what I saw. I was like, this is garbage. So I went ahead and I started. I was living in this dope brownstone duplex apartment with a sunken garden outside, backyard, the whole nine. It was one, two, three, four humongous bedroom, two bedrooms upstairs, two bedrooms downstairs, laundry room. It was just a ridiculous place. And I'm like, and oh, I forgot to mention, Byrd would tell you, I was the only guy living with three girls at the time. Okay, guys, it may sound great, but it's the worst experience you'll have. Do not live with three girls. Whatever you do, do not live with three girls. Because it turned out where if two was fighting, the other two was friends, or it just rotate. It was two friends, one on the outs. Then this month it's two of these girls and one on the outs. And then they wanted me to pick sides. I did it 1 month, and then I the second month I realized, well, I should never do that. So anyway, I digress. So we started having the State Street parties. That party was legendary, legendary. I'll come back to that. So from there now, from the State Street parties, my friend Kurt and Dez wanted to do behind club doors. So we started behind club doors, and we did behind club doors. The DJs at the time was actually it was Tyrone Francis, and it was also Mansky and Kim Lightfoot. Kim Lightfoot started the parties on Sundays. We started the Sunday parties as an afterthought. Why? Because we had Friday, and Friday was doing well, but somebody said, well, why don't we do Sunday? It's our place. Actually, the place was Desiree and Kurt. It was their place. And I said, well, we have, and where it was down on Flushing, which now you can't even buy real estate down there. But back then, not even the rats went down there. It was treacherous. We used to run a shuttle from the G train line, the most notorious line in the city at the time. We used to run a shuttle from up there, which was about 4 or 5 blocks away. Why? Because the girls used to say, we want to come to the party, but that walk from the train was disastrous.
Walk.
So AD, our big AD, was our shuttle van driver. God rest AD's soul. AD used to pick people up from the subway down to the club. Now, like I say, over there, it's now, maybe one of the richest areas of Brooklyn. So we used to do the parties there, and now this is leading up to the Jamboree. So in that whole year of doing behind club doors, myself and Kurt, as well as so it's myself, Kurt Minter, and this young lady named Kim. Um, you know, Kurt, we decided, well, listen, Kurt came to me and said, Ray, I have a friend. I met this guy. He's actually an old garage member. He is actually the head right now of special events at Prospect Park. He's doing all these events at Prospect Park, and there's no club music, no nothing. We in New York, even though it now went over into house music that the world was calling it, us diehards were still calling it club music. So he said there was no club music for the outdoor parties or anything like that. So we came in for an interview. Kurt got us in for an interview, and I remember sitting with him. His name also was Kurt, and the three of us were sitting and we were talking, and we just said, okay, he wanted us in, and he wanted us in at the band shell. And the band shell at the time was where everything happened in Prospect Park. So we signed on to say, okay, we're going to do this event. We didn't have a name for it yet, by the way. So we're just going to do this event. So we got back and we're throwing names out. And I remember Kim, very Afrocentric young lady, was like, yo, we need to call it Unga Bunga Kumbaya, whatever, all these crazy Afro names, you know. And at the time, we were like, nah, man, we want a name that is inclusive of everybody, because what the concept behind Clubhouse Jamboree was taking a little bit of what goes on inside the club, because at the time, most of us was getting older. Most of us started having families. You're looking at 91, 92 now. Well, the concept started in about 92, 93. Our first Clubhouse Jamboree was in 94. So in 92, in 93, when we met with him, you know, most people were having babies and having a family, could only come out but so often to a club here and there. So we said we want a day where we bring the club scene outside, so that the kids, you know, can see where where their dads and mom go.
Babysitter.
Yeah, we wanted, well, one, we wanted the kids to see where and where their mom and dad went and what they did, and then we needed a place for the babysitters, you know, to act as babysitters for the kid. That's why to this day I have a very soft spot in my heart when I see babies at the Jamboree, because that's how we really kind of started. We kind of started to show them what mom and dad was doing. So we eventually came up with the name Clubhouse Jamboree. How we came up with the name Clubhouse? Very simple. You probably figure it out already. At the time, we were calling it club music. So we wanted the club in there. So we said club music, it's called club, and the rest of the world was calling it house. So we said Clubhouse. And a jamboree, and I remember it was Kurt who came up with the name Jamboree. Instead of jamboree, it's for fun. It's where you go to have a good time. And we just put it all together, and that's how it came about, Clubhouse Jamboree. We did the first one at Prospect Park. And the first one, the Parks Department put it at 1,500 people came out the first year, because it was just, and it was the first time anything of that type was ever done, where it's hardcore club music, outdoor, made for the dancers, set up for dancing. I've always done food. I was always the one doing food there. So I've always, why? Because that's a Jamaican in me. If you're doing a party, you have to have food. Okay, so we always had food, and so it was just such a success. We did the band shell for 5 years. It might have been 5 or 4 years, and then corporate money came into the band shell to renovate it, and they closed the band shell area for a whole year while they were renovating. and they kick us over to this side of the park that was, oh my God, it was the most disgusting part of the park that you have ever seen. That was when Byrd now really came on board and really was helping me out with the cooking, with the, organizing, and I mean, I had a mishmash crew helping out. When we moved over to that side, that's when Kurt said, "Listen, I'm not gonna do this anymore. If you want, you could continue it on." I said, "Yeah, I'm going to continue it on. What else am I going to do? The people want it." And
how long has it been?
last year was 27.
Right, look at that.
That's 27 years.
Well, Ray, I have one more question for you.
Go ahead.
Sean.
While I sip my, tell Sean I'm sipping a lager.
Sean wants to know, Ray, did your neighbors hate when you threw parties like the night when we had the neighbor's chandelier rocking?
Oh man, I got kicked off.
You're here with us.
Oh, so where am I? Hang on.
We see you.
I can't see you.
And we can hear you.
I can hear you. What I did? I did something.
I think we got kicked off, Cynthia.
No, I'm here. I mean, I hear you.
We're here, but Instagram's not.
We probably got kicked off of Instagram.
No, I'm not on Instagram.
Fine, it's an hour.
Anyway, so to answer Sean, the parties at State Street and all my parties that I did at home. So the parties where the chandelier came shaking down out of the roof was at Linden Boulevard. State Street parties were great because the block was made up of young people and these older 60s babies, from the 60s. These artists and what have you. And of course you have your old fogey stogies. But the parties on State Street, we had some of the best sound system. I mean, it was always the best sound system in the parties. And the next day, the neighbors, especially the young ones, they used to come out and just give me a thumbs up, like, yeah, good work. I remember going, this scene from the State Street party, I would always tell this scene, it was a Halloween party. It was Moi Renee, God rest his soul, Luscious, and Linden. Now, for those of you guys who know these guys and those who don't, these are all three over 6 foot tall gay men and flamboyantly gay men. And I just remember this is November, this is Halloween, so October 31st into the morning, so it's November 1st. It was freezing cold. They walk out of the party in their G-string and they're walking down to the corner store, but they're strolling and just talking like it's a summer day. And the next day, my neighbors were just like, dude, man, can I come to your next party? When is your next party? So the neighbors were never gave me a hard time. Why? Because our music made people happy. Our music just really made people happy. The one with the chandelier and all his light fixtures shaking out. Again, we were on the second floor of a railroad apartment on Linden Boulevard. An apartment actually that I shared with Tyrone Francis and his sister. We were roommates. And you guys can still hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. So
we have been kicked out of IG though, apparently.
Okay, no problem. I can hear you.
Or no, are you back?
Yeah, so that party was crazy. It was packed and
You're back.
the music was just thumping, as well as the party people thumping on the dance floor because it was wood floors. And then the bell rang and my brother, who was running the door at the time, comes up to me and said, Ray, there's this guy at the door. He said he's your neighbor. And I'm like, my neighbor? So I go outside. I look at him. He's like, yo. He's like, nice party, but yo, come with me. So I'm like, what's the matter? He's like, no, just come with me. And he walked me downstairs. He lives below me. He opens his door. He said, listen, man, all the way when we were walking down, he said, listen, I love the party. The energy is great. Music is great. But just come. I just got to show you this. He opens his door, and every light fixture in his house was hanging from the ceiling. And I'm standing in his apartment, and all I hear is crazy people upstairs yelling and screaming and stomping and shouting and hooting and hollering. And all I could do was just, I said, man, I'm so sorry, my man. I reached in my pocket. I gave him $300. I said, I'm so sorry. He's like, yo, just, you can continue partying, but please, they can't be stomping like that. So, yes, Sean, that was a great party. It was crazy.
I want to come back before because we just got kicked off of IG and we're back on IG again. So I just want to welcome everybody back and say thank you for tuning in. This is Bedtime Stories. We've been listening to Little Ray.
We heard Mother Byrd.
And before that, we heard wonderful tales from Mama Byrd. And
her name is Cynthia.
That's Red.
Hi. And I think we have to sort of bring our first episode to an end.
Yes, but
a gentle end. But Ray, who had nothing to talk about, found a lot of things. Byrd was wonderful. You guys are the best. This has been great.
You.
And you know, it's like getting to know you, getting to know more about you, and this is, you know, exciting times.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Next week we're gonna have.
Thank you. That was a lot of information with a lot of names and a lot of stuff and a lot of history. Both of you, both Byrd.
Ray, when you was doing House Nation, you forgot to mention DJ David Camacho.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right. Well, actually, well, I guess we could come back for part 2, 3, and 4. But there's so much to talk about.
I left so much out too.
I mean, Camacho was, oh my God, he was such an integral part of not just House Nation, but Wild Pitch, and also when we were doing, even when we were doing, well, when I was running around to clubs like Baseline, there's a story of Camacho kicking Victor Rosa. Well, no. Actually, the story went where Victor went into the booth and just locked the booth and just kept on playing, and Camacho was ready to kick his ass. But I'll leave it there.
That sounds like good times.
It does. Shout out to Victor Rosado.
Victor, you're coming.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We got some great names like coming to join us in the coming weeks for like some bedtime stories. So
Danny Soto's coming, Rich Medina's coming, I believe Tony Touch is coming. Who else?
Anthony Lamont is coming. We got Destroy coming.
Kahim is coming. Shen S is coming.
Mr. V is coming. There's so many people. Oh my goodness, Barbara Tucker. Oh my gosh,
we got lots of people are coming.
Yes. So please, let a friend know.
Stay with us, share, let people know. We'll get started on time next time because, we're living and learning. And by the time this is all over, all of us house music people are going to be able to produce a whole show from the things we've learned in this madness out there. But we're in here. And, much love to all of you. And Ray and Byrd, thank you so much. Cynthia, our shenanigans shall continue.
Yes.
And shout out to my mother watching in the living room.
Ray and Byrd, thank you. Red, she's amazing.
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much.
God bless.
Yes. Well, it's time for bed, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.